Let's go Dolphins! The crisis is upon us in Miami, and what's about to happen could change the fortunes of this franchise forever. It's not just another loss. It's not just an 0-3 start. It's the harbinger of an imminent implosion. The backroom is buzzing, the players are being pressured, the front office is being criticized, and the future of names like Tua Tagovailoa, Mike McDaniel, and especially Chris Grier is increasingly uncertain. There's much more going on behind the scenes than most fans realize, and I'll tell you everything. But before you continue, just hit the like button if you're truly a die-hard Dolphins fan. If you survived the eras of suffering, if you followed along even when you didn't even come close to the playoffs, I want you to comment below. Go Dolphins! My heart bleeds aqua and orange. Let's show the strength of true fans who aren't fooled by false promises. Now for sure, because what I'm about to reveal will leave you speechless. Now, let's get into it, because what we witnessed in Buffalo was not just a loss. It was a wake-up call. The Dolphins fell short again, and this time, under the brightest lights and biggest stage, quarterback Tua Tagovailoa once more showed his limitations. For those still holding out hope that Tua is the long-term answer in Miami, let me be clear. He is not. The numbers don't lie. When trailing by one possession in the final 5 minutes of games, Tua has thrown 7 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. His passer rating in those moments? In the 70s. That's not elite. That's not franchise QB material. That's check down Charlie with a big contract. And that's the problem. Even if the front office wanted to move on from Tua right now, they can't. He's locked into a massive $212.4 million contract, and cutting him today would cost the team an eye-watering $137.8 million in dead cap. Let that sink in. Even if they wait until next year, it's still over $99 million in dead money. So unless another team wants to take that contract off Miami's hands, and who would, we're stuck. Best case scenario? They could cut ties after the 2026 season when the cap hit drops to a more manageable $31.8 million. But by then, the damage could be irreversible. This means the Dolphins are heading straight into quarterback purgatory, a place where they've lingered far too long. And what does that mean for head coach Mike McDaniel? Honestly, the writing's on the wall. Despite getting the team ready for a big divisional matchup, the reality remains, he can't win big games. His record against teams with winning records now stands at a pitiful 3-14. Let me repeat that, 3 wins, 14 losses. The Dolphins under McDaniel have now lost 8 straight games to teams with winning records. That is not playoff caliber coaching. Sure, McDaniel's squad came out energized in Buffalo. The opening drive was promising. The defense made some timely stops, but when it counted most, late in the game, with a chance to take control, they folded. Again, the Dolphins had an opportunity to win that game, but predictably, they couldn't capitalize. And that falls on the coach. Let's not sugarcoat it. Mike McDaniel is a .500 coach. He beats teams he should beat and loses to the ones that matter. That formula might be enough to keep your job in some organizations, but not in Miami. Not when the goal is a Super Bowl. With a roster that includes Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and what was supposed to be a dominant front seven, this team should be contending. Instead, they're bottom feeding. And speaking of that defense, don't think we're letting Anthony Weaver off the hook either. This defensive unit is statistically the worst in the league, giving up over 31 points per game. That front seven that everyone hyped up? Non-existent. Josh Allen faced pressure on just 9.4% of his dropbacks. That's historically bad. James Cook averaged nearly 6 yards per carry. And at one point, the Dolphins rushed 3 and dropped Zach Sealer, yes, Sealer, into coverage. What are we even doing? Zach Sealer got paid and has done nothing but hurt this team. Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Matthew Judon, none of them have lived up to expectations. Sure, Chubb has a sack in every game so far, but it's just not enough. If things keep heading this way, don't be surprised if the Dolphins try to ship him off for a 4th-round pick at the trade deadline. And let's circle back to Grier. He built this roster. He chose these players. He signed off on these contracts. The secondary is a mess. Minkah Fitzpatrick hasn't made an impact. Melifonwu and Ashton Davis are flat-out misses. There was no plan to replace players like Jalen Ramsey or Kendall Fuller. Jack Jones played well in one half, great, but overall, this defense is a disaster. And Chris Grier is responsible for every single piece of it. Because if we're being honest, this is not just a rough start to the season, it's an unraveling. And Dolphins fans aren't stupid. They've seen this movie before. Year after year, the team flashes potential, teases greatness, and then collapses when the games actually matter. So let's stop pretending like this is a slump. It's a systemic failure, and the blame spreads far and wide. Let's talk about the front office, because Chris Grier has absolutely overstayed his welcome. He's had nearly a decade of control over this roster. He's had multiple first-round picks, high-profile free agent signings, and every resource you could ask for to build a Super Bowl team. And what do the Dolphins have to show for it? 3 playoff appearances since 2008, 0 playoff wins, and a roster that crumbles against quality opponents. At some point, results matter, and the results under Grier are unacceptable. Let's go down the list of his recent moves. The safety room is a disaster. No depth, no standout players, and complete mismanagement in replacing veterans. Melifonwo, a swing and a miss. Ashton Davis, another bust. The defensive backs group, once a strength, is now patchwork and unreliable. And don't even bring up Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's not even playing at a high level anymore. There's a complete lack of vision here, and it starts at the top. On the defensive line, the Dolphins were supposed to be loaded. Remember all the hype around Zach Sealer, Bradley Chubb, and Jalen Phillips? None of it has materialized. Jalen Phillips has been invisible. Zach Sealer is dropping into coverage. Bradley Chubb has a couple half sacks and a holding call to his name. That's it. When you have a supposed elite front seven and still give up nearly 32 points per game, it's time to ask whether this group was ever that good to begin with, or if Grier just whiffed again. Even Anthony Weaver, the new defensive coordinator, is starting to draw heat. Sure, the players respect him, and that counts for something, but at the end of the day, you're judged on results. And the results are ugly. Yes, his play calling is questionable. Rushing 3 against Josh Allen on 3rd and short, dropping your best pass rusher into coverage. These are not the decisions of a coordinator trying to win. These are panic calls. This team is not just poorly performing, they're poorly coached, too. But again, if you trace the roots, all roads lead to Grier. He picked this staff. He built this roster. And despite years of evidence that this team is stuck in mediocrity, he remains in power. It's baffling, and fans have every right to be furious. Then there's the Tua situation. I know we talked about him earlier, but it's worth emphasizing just how locked in the Dolphins are. They gave him a $212 million extension. They tied their future to a quarterback who has never delivered in a high-pressure moment. And the worst part? He's not even awful. That's the most dangerous kind of quarterback, the one who's just good enough to keep his job but not good enough to take you where you want to go. It's the classic quarterback purgatory. Every time the game is on the line, he fades. Interceptions in crunch time, poor reads, no deep threat, and constant checkdowns. It's not that he lacks talent, he just lacks that extra gear that elite quarterbacks have. And unfortunately, the Dolphins are stuck. They can't cut him, they can't trade him, and unless a miracle happens, they're riding this out through 2026. And what's the plan? Draft a quarterback next year? Maybe. Sign a low-risk free agent like Anthony Richardson if he becomes available? Sure, but all that is future talk. Right now, this team is in freefall. The defense is in shambles. The offense is predictable. And the coaching staff is unable to make the critical adjustments. So where do the Dolphins go from here? Do they ride it out with this regime, hoping for a miraculous turnaround? Or do they start cleaning house now, fire Grier, replace McDaniel, and accept that this iteration of the Dolphins just isn't good enough? Because here's the thing, you can't waste the primes of Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and this offensive core. You just can't. The window is small, and every year of dysfunction closes it further. Let's not forget, the Dolphins still have a long season ahead. They're 0-3, but things could get much worse. The schedule only gets tougher. And if the team continues to spiral, expect this locker room to fracture. Veterans will